So, Governor, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's good to have you. We're going to have to begin our conversation with the day's quote. Jano is going to give you the quote. Let's see what you think of the quote. If you agree with it or you don't agree with it.
Absolutely. Today's quote is by Grace Ogot, who earlier we said is a trailblazer. You know, she was an author and a parliamentarian in Kenya. And she said, history is not the past alone. It is the present consequences of that past.
Yes, I agree.
You agree?
Yes.
Plain and simple. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
You completely agree.
Yes, I do.
Governor, so we've been seeing a lot of press on you recently. The work that you're doing in Murang'a, you know, raising the revenues, supporting farmers in, currently it's mango farmers. It's been issues about milk farmers and so on and so forth. And asking ourselves, so is it that Kang'ata studied devolution before others did? Or what happened? So, as you look at your journey as a governor in the last three years or so, is it what you thought it would be?
Yes, to a certain extent. I think some of the ideas that we had planned, we have implemented, but definitely there are gaps, and therefore we are not there yet, what we had originally envisaged. But to a certain extent, we have made some attempt. Yes.
Yeah. Some people say that they don't feel devolution in their pockets directly. You've hailed it as one of like the biggest successes of the Constitution. But very briefly, where would you say it's done best and where would you say it's failed? If you were to pick one from each, where do you think it's thrived, but where do you also think the gap is? That people say, I don't necessarily feel the change in my life.
Well, in my view, let me start with the negative. I think almost all counties are grappling with the problem of the wage bill. It has been highlighted by the Senate, by the control budget, by various oversight institutions, including the High Court. I think the other day there was a judgment that government generally needs to check the issue of wage bill. And maybe to give you a context is that Kenyan government, now the national government, it has about 900,000 employees, but they are consuming 1 trillion Kenya shilling. That's almost a third of locally generated resources. In Murang'a, for instance, we are about 5,000 public servants in the county. Our salaries consume 52%. So meaning the balance, it is shared by so many other things. So therefore, I think that's an issue we need to think as a society, because you find resources going to not as many people as they ought to, because more resources should go to development. I think that's an area, in my view, that needs to be relooked by everyone. It calls for a lot of sacrifices. At times, I don't feel that everyone is ready to sacrifice to achieve what the law provides, by the way, because it is in the law that needs to be capped at 35%. But on the positive side, definitely, I know in every county, people have seen some little change. Some might say little, some might say more. Maybe more doctors, maybe new ECDs, maybe new roads, in a manner that prior to devolution, such services were not tenable. And for me, that's positive.
Okay. Just before we get into now the meat of the conversation, help us lay context for Murang'a. How much does Murang'a raise in on-source revenue? How much does it get from Treasury? And of course, what are the main economic activities in Murang'a?
In 2022, when we came in, Murang'a on average used to raise 400 to 500 million own source revenue. But as at the last financial year, that is the 30th of June 2025, we hit 1.3 billion. And I think all factors remaining constant this year, we shall hit 1.6 billion Kenya shilling own source revenue. On what we receive, on average per annum, I would say we receive about 7.4 billion. So meaning that comes to about 8 point, about in total revenue 8 point, let's say 9 billion Kenya shilling. Yes.
All right. And then main economic activities around Murang'a. I know agriculture is the obvious one, but which subsectors of agriculture? And if there's anything else that's also, a big economic driver in the county?
Murang'a is number one in the entire country in terms of tea. We are the largest producers of small-scale tea. Number two, we are now number 2 in coffee. We used to be number 3. Avocado, we are number 1 in the entire country. In fact, holding about 40% of the entire avocado industry. Then of course, we have milk sector. We are about number 4 or number 3 in the entire country. After Meru, number 2 is Kiambu, Githunguri, and then Murang'a, number 3. And then we have then the urban economy. We are talking of trading, services.
Yeah.
Then that forms the balance. We are about 20 to 30% urbanized.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that just to get context of, yes, what Murang'a is pulling in,
Right.
what it's able to generate for itself, and then the interventions that have now come as a result. So that when people say, ni kama alikuwa na syllabus, devolution that
Right.
people don't have, what enabled it?
Right.
From a policy perspective and also just from a resource perspective.
Yeah, and also how to fight for county powers, because we're talking about the politics of it.
Yes.
So understanding, navigating the politics around devolution is something that we'll come back and address with Governor Irungu Kang'ata, Governor of Murang'a County. It's coming up to 7:30. We'll also take a look at some of your questions for him after the break.
We're getting back in conversation now with Governor Irungu Kang'ata, but just before that, do send us your WhatsApp Nation video as well. Tell us uko wapi, unafanya nini, how are you fixing the nation, what is being done, what's not being done, what's working, what's not working. 0769 590 762. 0769 590 762.
A bit of feedback just before we get to Mariam's question to the governor before the break. We have Charles Mbogo. Why is the governor from Murang'a County employing nurses in internship program, while the Labor and Law Murang'a County Employment Act does not cover such a position for licensed diploma nurses?
Could we rewind selector?
I know it's.
Why is the governor
employing nurses on internship programs?
nurses in internship programs, while the Labor Law and Murang'a County Employment Act does not offer such a position for licensed diploma nurses? Okay.
He'll answer in just a moment. The last one is Skanking Sweet says, what's the governor's thought solution on a wage bill? How can it be reduced? So maybe we can do a quick fire on those questions before we get to Mariam's question.
Okay, first there is a policy that was passed by the Murang'a County Assembly, and therefore there is a legal basis. Number 2, it is exactly for that reason I had cited that a choice, we have to make a choice as a country whether we can hire people at high salaries, and that then causes a situation where our wage bill balloons, or you hire them as interns. Once you get resources, you now give them a better pay, and it's only 1 year, 2 year, then we make you a contractual employee. But the other third option is we freeze employment. These people stay outside there. The public wants their services in our public sector, but because they have demanded huge salaries, then they stay out in the cold. For me, I think that's a worse situation. because public sector needs more nurses, it needs more doctors, it needs more clinical officers. But then again, the truth is, under the current wage bill, we can't afford that. That's the truth. And if we continue hiring them at those rates, definitely we'll have what is called a bloated wage bill, and our entities will just collapse because they are not sustainable. When you have a county paying 52% of the entire budget towards salaries, it means at a certain stage you just collapse because you can't render service except just paying salaries. And we know we are only 5,000 public employees in Murang'a County.
Do you need all 5,000?
Exactly, another point. Some people have proposed we remove some, but it's very immoral to send somebody home under the current harsh economic situation. In my view, instead of sending them home, you better do a reshuffle, you do staff alignment, and you retain them. So the point I'm replying to my brother there is that internship is a win-win situation, where the employee join in as intern for 1-2 years. Then once the resources allow, you get some promotion, and you can be considered for absorption.
Okay. I still want to go back onto that one.
And again, also, if for any reason you as an employee, you are not happy being an intern, you don't apply.
It's a choice.
It's a choice.
What is the long-lasting solution? You say we are due for a public discussion on the issue of wage bill, both at the national level and at the county level, because that's a lot. Nobody is within the constitutional limit of 35%. Everybody has passed it. On average, we are at 42-45% on average. But what is the solution? What is your proposed solution?
One is to push for higher increment of revenue, whether own source or whatever. Secondly, most counties have tended to freeze employment. You find public service doesn't have young people. And that's it, which is also a negative. It contributes to higher rates of unemployment. But under the current state of affairs, what are the choices?
Very limited. Okay, let's get into politics, the politics of devolution now. And what people, were making fun of earlier is a lot of the interventions you've made over the last few years in Murang'a that have been received positively by the people of Murang'a and nationwide, whether it's Inua Mkulima, getting maize certified seeds out to farmers, recently mopping up avocados, finding, a market for them with juice processors, whether it is plans for an industrial park. There's so many things that have happened. How many of these have required political goodwill from the county assembly? How many of them can you just do as governor? Because a lot of the times people will say, Nataka, I would love to, but the way my MCAs are set up, the way this county assembly, the way politics. So how many of those, for example, have required bipartisan support in the county assembly? How many were you able to do just as governor?
80% of them require the endorsement by the county assembly. Let's say, for instance, the card that we give to the poor families that have no medical insurance. Let's say the Inua Mkulima, where we support milk and mango farmers by giving them like a conditional basic income, or let's say something like industrial park. All those, they were captured in a policy. We took them to the assembly. We had to convince them. They endorsed. Or even Murang'a Youth Service, where we give young people temporary opportunities, and then they do community work. Later on, we train them. Then later on, we give them a small stipend. So again, they are captured in some regulations, some policy. The assembly had to endorse. However, We have some few which are within the ambit of the executive, like putting cabros in markets, putting tarmac in our markets. That did not require any form of inducement, any form of endorsement by the assembly, because it is infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you go, for example, looking for markets for agricultural produce for Murang'a, for Murang'a farmers, does that require the county's backing?
No, that one is simple. You look for a manufacturer, you negotiate, you enter into an MOU, and then you organize farmers, then you take the produce. That's all. That doesn't require any endorsement. Where the endorsement of the county assembly is required is where you intend to, or number one, expend county resources directly. Number two, the beneficiaries are not really universal.
Yeah.
They have to be selected through a process. So you need to create an objective process where everyone has an equal chance. And that can only happen through a policy. Yeah. Like now that card that we give to the poor people, not everyone benefits. So you needed to set a criteria to say X gets, Y doesn't. So only the assembly can be able to craft that. But this one of going to see, let's say, a manufacturer of mango juice, you just look for one. You enter into an MOU, and then you go look for mango farmers. You tell them, bring your mangoes, take it to X company. That's it.
Okay, straightforward.
Yeah.
You've taken certain positions to defend county powers, I think, over your long political career. How can governors, let me use the word fight for counties without always making it too much of a national versus county? Because I think the more we talk to governors, the more you sometimes get the sense that there's national interference, so to speak. So how do you draw the line between saying this one is a fight I have to do, and I'm not necessarily pushing back at national government, I'm simply defending county powers?
Well, the truth is I usually don't do that. I feel that is beyond my remit. The reason being, you can't do it for Murang'a alone. I would imagine that has to be done for everyone else. And I'm not an official of CUG. I'm not a chair. I'm not a vice. So the best people to do so, in my view, is the CUG. And therefore, I can complain here and there. Like, there's a time I complained about SHA in Murang'a. And but I had to do it not only for everyone but also for Murang'a. But that's it. Generally, as a county, we prefer strategic collaboration and zero problem with anyone. Yeah.
You don't like confrontation. Some things are not confrontational, Governor. And you are a senator. The issue of fighting graft and therefore safeguarding the image of devolution is one. The headline today on the Daily Nation, I'm sure you've seen it, Who Cares? And it's looking at various stories that have touched on graft. So there's graft at the national level, there's graft at county level, right? On various devolved units. From your experience in Parliament and now in the county executive, is there a way we can deal with graft at individual county governments that has not been thought of?
Okay, there are several methods. Of course, enforcement of the law by the enforcement agencies. But for us as a county, what we have attempted to do, let me say attempt because it's not 100% perfect, is automation. I have seen the positive fruits of automation vis-a-vis the graft war. I believe that corruption thrives where there is personal interaction between a citizen and a public officer. So you reduce that, then chances of graft goes down. And therefore, I really want to take this opportunity to thank the young computer scientists who have been developing various apps in Murang'a, which has made, to a certain extent, the conduct of public business a little bit more efficient and reduced that interaction between mwananchi and a public entity or a public official in Murang'a, and therefore corruption to a certain extent, not 100% eliminated, but to a certain extent reduced.
Okay. I'm going through, again, trying to think how county governments work and how to push through. And earlier, when I was saying, you know what, how many of these interventions require the county assembly, then the next thing is, how do you whip up support in the assembly? Because a lot of time is spent infighting in several county assemblies. So you find it's even politics of impeachment as opposed to politics of development. And it's, comes at a cost. So then how do you whip up support? Is it inherent and these are just your people, it just so happened? Or is there something else being done to make sure that the county assembly is working in tandem with the governor?
Okay, there is several theories by experts on development and how does a society develop. And for me, there is one which I feel is very persuasive. It's by a guy called Professor Stefan Dacon or something. It's called elite bargaining.
Okay.
The idea is that a society to progress, the elites have to sit down and agree something called developmental bargain or consensus. So they sit down, they agree that let us focus on development. Several reasons he gives why that happens, because not every society that happens.
True.
And so maybe for Murang'a, I would imagine we have a developmental bargain among the elites. You know, MCAs are powerful.
They are.
Right?
Yeah.
So for them to agree to focus on development, you have to have some consensus. And it called for some sacrifice of short-term gains for posterity. And it calls for a lot of negotiations and constant discussions.
Let me ask, what's the give and take when you're at this bargaining table with the members of county assembly?
Okay, one of the greatest settlement we had with the assembly of Murang'a was to create something that resembles ward fund. And for me, I support it 100% because the Constitution and the law, or even the Supreme Court, seems to hold this view that only the executive can do development.
Right.
But there is some danger in that, because if you allow that to happen, is that the governor there, he can't see all the corners of the county. He has only two eyes. He has only one nose. He has 2 ears. So you lose nothing as a governor when you have more people helping you push the county ahead. So Murang'a has about 35 elected MCAs. So it means instead of one head of governor, you now have 35 plus one, all pushing for development. And for me, that's positive. You're able to see things you can't see if you are just seated in Murang'a. They are able to give you nuances that are hidden. And that, for me, is important for an MCA, because in this country, people, they never elect any leader except maybe senator or even women rep without considering development.
That's
For them, they are interested not on the laws you make, but
oversight.
On no, they don't care about that.
They want to see the development.
This ward fund.
They want to see a road there, a water project here. So once you have this consensus, then everyone is happy. MC is happy, Mwananchi is happy. Yes.
Walk us through that ward fund.
Okay. Basically, because it's not there in the law, we had an agreement where we allocate certain amounts of money per ward. in Murang'a it's about 30 million. Then you tell an MC, you bring projects, proposals. I want to clarify, this is not money sent to an MC's account. No. It is project proposals worth this much. So let's say like a bursary. So an MC will have the leeway to go in the village, tell people to apply for bursaries up to a maximum of 3 million. Then they bring those names to the executive. Then we process those checks.
Okay.
Then we have hours for grading our roads. So we announce this is a schedule for grading our roads. The MCA is the one to come and tell us, go to this village, go to this village. The other one is we do renovate ECDs. Instead of us deciding which ECD, it is the MCA who will come and say, do ECD X, do ECD Y. That's it. When we have water projects, again we allocate, I think for water project per annum, it's about 2 million. So the MCA will come and tell us, this village needs water, this village needs water. But for there's a small technical aspect. We tell them they need to get some approval from the respective water company.
Yeah.
So that we don't just do pipes and there'll be no water. So that's it.
You've devolved devolution. Love it.
I wonder in all this, though, is there a community structure? Like a structure where there is a community-centered decision-making structure where the MCA feeds from. So, for example, in a certain area that needs roads to be done, like, is there a committee, like the way we have CDF is actually a committee, a constituency committee. Is there a ward development committee that then the MCA will go and ask, what do we need to do for roads, or which road needs priority, which will now transmit to the executive?
Well, truth be said, that has potential to bring problems between the executive and the MCs, because if the process of appointing that committee is highly politicized, you will definitely have people who don't see eye to eye with the MCA getting those positions. And therefore, the whole idea collapses. So the strategy has been to encourage them to do public participation per project. So it's upon them to mobilize the community and agree this is the priority. And I know some wards, which allow me not to mention here, which are very excellent in that public participation, where people gather, they are given choices, they choose, and then then that's brought to us, we document it, and then that's it. Of course, there are other wards where the decision will be, for lack of a better word, unilateral.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The diplomacy in
And
the
therefore
terms.
fought by the community.
Well, okay, I've heard here and there communities saying our region has been neglected, but we always try to nudge the MCAs to be fair. If the executive is fair to every ward by giving each ward an equal amount, you also have a moral duty to be fair to your ward. You support even villages that didn't support for you. But at times, it's a discussion my colleagues will have with the people.
Yeah.
And I hope it will be a positive discussion.
You're quite big on, you're focused on development, you're focused on strategy, on enhancing the position of Murang'a County, but sometimes politics can shift that or disrupt it. I just want to get your views right now on the political mood, on the way, I don't know, I guess Mount Kenya is continuing to evolve in its own way. There's either divisive politics or evolving politics, let me put it that way. As a leader in the region, what are your thoughts on just how the political mood shifting could impact Murang'a? He's about to say, I don't talk politics. Me, I come here to talk about development.
No, you are almost right. We believe that, you see, this politics of one term, two term, they are sweet. And in fact, that's what people now want. They want us to say one term, two term, whatever. In fact, when you go talk about, I don't know, smart city, you did this Cabro, it sounds boring. Yeah. And rarely people clap or get excited.
Wow.
But then again, we took a philosophical stance that one term, two term will end within the next 1 year, 6 months. But the road that the smart city that we have done, or some road or Cabro, will be with us for the next 50 years. The ECDs that we have rehabilitated, almost 500 plus in Murang'a, will be with us for the next many years. The industrial park that we are pushing will change Murang'a's economically, God willing, if we succeed structurally, not only for this generation, but for the next generation. So, yes, people will clap when we talk about one term, two term, but we know that is what we call a passing glance. We are more interested to not only for this generation, but for a better future for our society many years after we are gone. Whether we will be punished in the elections, that's okay. What can we do? Let's do what is right, what is morally and ethically the right thing to do, as opposed to what is good for the next 1.5 years.
Okay.
Rather than the head, does it frustrate you as you go into a break? Does it frustrate you sometimes when you're coming to talk to people about the job that they gave you to do, but they want you to talk about one term, two term?
No, it doesn't. Even me, when I was a little bit younger, I used to be happier when talking such. So it doesn't. But I feel that looking around in the world, and you look societies that have developed, you look at China, how it was poor 40 years ago, how it has become a superpower, how India is powering ahead, how even Ethiopia here during Mele Zenawi, how it has powered economically ahead. You realize that societies and leaders have to make a choice, whether you're interested in this game of politics or whether you decide to focus on development. I also know of leaders who have focused on development and they have been punished at the ballot, but I know what happens thereafter. People later realize they did something wrong, and often people recall them. So I've realized that a focus in development can never go wrong, whether on the short term or even in the long term. And I will finish with a story of a guy called Clement Attlee. I believe he's the best Prime Minister of UK, but he only led the people of Britain for 6 years.
All right. We'll come back with you in just a second. We missed out on a little bit of the conversation at the beginning of the hour, but just stay with us for another few minutes. Hashtag is Fixing the Nation NTV. We are in studio with Murang'a Governor Irungu Kang'ata discussing the politics of devolution.
Yeah. We come back with a conversation with Governor Irungu Kang'ata for a bit before we say goodbye to him. But several comments.
Yeah, there's a few comments. Ken San Mugolo says, smart governor. Where benchmarking must be done. Eva Minor says, whether one is elected again depends on their past record. Does it though? I feel like he's made it clear that it's not necessarily about your record. It might not
always be the case.
It might not always be the case. The Kikombe says, when politics seems boring, it means things are working for the taxpayer. Kazi poa. And then somebody here is saying, how can the governor be reached without too many gatekeepers? So he'll tell us. Webster Magati is the one saying that. Then finally, Lenny De Steve is saying something interesting. I'm concerned by the rise of suicide cases in Madoya in the recent months. Maybe the governor can share some thoughts on this. He may not have the answers, but maybe the cause
Has it come
what
to your
could happen.
attention?
What?
There's high cases of suicide in Madioya.
Well, it is true. Maybe I might not have picked picked it up, but it's a fact that we do have a lot of suicide cases, not only in Murang'a, but in the entire country. Probably there is a gap in mental health, which we as a county, we need to think of ways to look into that. And maybe I can mention that and say that in Murang'a, we analyzed our medical structure. We realized there is some changes which people seem not to be aware of. Murang'a, the rates of births are really declining fast. Very few children and very many old people. So then we looked at our facilities. We noted there are so many, for lack of a better word, idle maternity or underutilized medical facilities. So, and by the way, quite a number are in Madhya constituency. And I'll give an example because the person is listening in. Wahundura. In fact, we built it as a maternity, but when we look at the numbers, they tend to be very low. And under nursing protocol, what I was advised by my experts, a maternity has to have about 8 nurses there to take care of shifts, blah, blah, such. So when you have such huge personnel and there is no demand, I don't think it is fair, because it means you are pulling out those HR resources from high demand facilities like Murang'a level 5 to a place where you get 1 birth per month. So what do? We thought, why can't we reorient these idle facilities to some other things like, let's say, mental healthcare clinics or maybe rehab or even nursing homes? Why? When we went to the ground, people say no.
Why?
I recall we went to Ahundura, we were told no. We went to Kiria in Murang'a, Mogoiri, we were told no. In fact, in some places, you find the facility is closed. There is a structure there, very well done, but it is closed. Including my rural village, where I come from, a place called Wajengi. We have a neighboring clinic there called Kirogo, which only we have 5 births per month.
Okay.
Now, my neighboring village called Wajengi, a friend of mine used to be a boss at Kenya Pipeline, maneuvered for them a maternity. So they are pushing we open Wajengi maternity, whereas Kirogo is underutilized.
Getting 5 births.
Even the young girls in the rural areas who get birth, they usually don't like getting children in the rural facilities. They push to come to Murang'a for several reasons, including a desire for a cesarean that can only be done by
a level 5.
A level 5. So we were pushing Murang'a people, why can't you allow us to reorient these things to emerging healthcare issues?
Issues,
They told us no. So
Even
by the
if
time
it's
we were doing
1 birth a month, but let it stay here.
they say don't.
Interesting.
By the time we were doing, it was a 5-day. By the time we were on the 3rd day, and everywhere was a no. We gave up. I even told my colleague, don't now go to
The day 4.
day 4 because the public
is against
What were the
it?
reasons? This is very odd. We're very curious.
It's an emotional attachment. You know why? Those vast majority of the people in the rural areas are the elderly. In their mind, they remember the trauma they had when they were young, and they were getting
Accessing a maternity.
Accessing a maternity. What probably people no longer know is how that service, the demand for it has dropped.
Okay.
A good example is in Madhya. There's a primary school that used to be called Ngechu. It is now locked.
No pupils.
No pupils.
But and how did you want to? Did you want to do anything with it to?
Now, now such a facility,
It's
we can possibly now reorient it. I think maybe I also blame myself. Maybe we were not good in communication. I recall later on I went to Gatara, Mogoiri in Borarandi, Keharu, later on for some other launch of a project. And I told the people of Gatara, you see, this is what I had in mind. The people of Gatara started saying, aha, we are sorry.
We can now see.
We can now see. Although so the point is, and I told them I can't force you.
Yeah.
This is your facility.
Yeah.
This is the vision I had for you guys, but I was unable to sell it.
Yeah. So it's
The
gentle parenting.
Yeah,
institutions.
the trauma aspect I honestly
Yeah.
get. I
Yeah.
can understand how if you had a time when you were perhaps delivering with midwives at home and even that midwife was hard to come by, and then a maternity comes and then someone is trying to close it, I could see how. But there's just one more question from the comments before we get back to the politics. Webster Magati is asking, what's the stand on renewable energy, commercial and industrial utility projects in Murang'a County? As investors, we are very willing to work with a good governor for mega and gigawatt-sized projects.
Pardon? What?
What is the county's stand on renewable energy, commercial and industrial projects in Murang'a? As investors, we are very willing to work with the governor for Murang'a for mega and gigawatt-sized projects.
Oh, we support. We are 100% supportive of industries. In fact, for the last several months, we have been running a campaign to attract investments in Murang'a. We had an investment conference in June 2025. We announced what opportunities are there for industries. We now ran a formal call, I think in October, November, then a second call in January, where we called people who want to invest. We have land. Yeah, one land is here near Thika, a huge land of about 1,300 acres, but it's not free. People have to pay.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we have another land which is the only landfill in Kenya is in Murang'a. It was not built by the county, but the national government, but devolved to us.
Okay.
So we are starting to operationalize it. So for people who might be interested to do renewable energy, that can be a possible site for them to come and take up and do their thing there. So the point is, if interested, visit our website, see those opportunities. We now have our own app, by the way, called My Murang'a, available on Play Store. You download it, you see all those information in there.
There's a follow-up question on the issue of the Ward Development Fund, where you said you have 35 wards and each ward is getting a bit of money for ward development. So Wanja, who is a champion for PWD rights, is asking, is there a similar allocation of fund available to nominated MCAs, particularly those representing special interest groups?
Let me put it this way, not in the manner within which we have crafted for the elected MCAs, because for them, they have a defined geographical space, which is a ward. But for them, what we usually do is they help us harness two programs. One is we have a maternal support program to incentivize mothers to deliver in public facilities. We give them a mama kit. So that is done through the MCAs nominated. Also a disability support where we buy disability items. But that comes once per year.
Okay. Then there's a question by Collins Kipsat. Ask Honorable Kang'ata, ako wingani, Timo Munyoro or broad-based? That goes into the politics of Munyoro is not broad-based. The politics of Mount Kenya at present, as you see it, as you read it, you are not a novice politician. You have been in politics for a while, right? Coming all the way from being a councillor to now governor. You see the politics. How is the politics of Mount Kenya shaping up?
Well, I am so sorry. I've been so engrossed in
Oh,
in your own world.
Been busy.
My own one.
I've been booked
Yeah.
and busy governing my county.
So there's every likelihood maybe trends have bypassed me. The only thing I can say on that is, and this is for the UDA party, at times I see them doing, there's a song when I used to be young, I used to hear on radio during KBC time, John Karani. He would play one single reggae song, I think by Max Romeo. He would say, one step forward, two step backwards. See now, I say so because, UDA after the win in Bere, also the grassroots elections they had some grassroots elections
for the party.
for per polling center. One got a sense that it was a party which seems to be having its groove back. Yeah, it seems to had some mojo. Hey, until Odhaya. Yeah, Odhaya. After Odhaya, again, you see some digression. I think they need to decide what they want, strategically, because now surely that was not good, the way people perceived them, based on what I hear people saying down there. Yeah, it was not fair, surely, for God's sake. We are living in a democracy, isn't it? Those shots I saw there, somebody could have been shot. God, it was very shocking. And it has traumatized people.
When you were Senator Irungu Kang'ata, now you're called Governor wa Barua. Wabarua is because he wrote a letter to President Uhuru Kenyatta in which you are telling him, ground inasema hivi, as you are saying this. Now, assume you're writing a letter to your party leader, William Ruto, because you were elected on UDA ticket. What did you tell him about the ground right now? And be as open and as candid as you are with Uhuru Kenyatta.
For now, it's a blank. It's blank. I would definitely write and say, please help us finish the industrial park of Murang'a. Yeah, we need the roads, they are done. We can't afford to do it as a county. We need water on that industrial park. Yeah, we need sewerage. We need power. The other time I checked, the bill of quantities for that was 2 billion. So we really need support from the national government for that. So therefore, to be concentrated, strictly speaking, on that. But to talk about politics, no. I think there are those who are competently doing so. Yeah, me, I'm not. I'm sorry. You can't be everything. Yeah, you can't be
Competently
politicking.
doing so. Yeah, competently politicking. Okay.
Yeah, I cannot masquerade to say we are good in everything. No, I can't. I don't know. On politics, I think there we score.
Are you saying that because you're genuinely saying there are people who are better at politicking? I prefer to do development. Are you scared to wander into the murky waters of politics by saying something? Because it's hard to imagine that you don't have something else to say beyond development. Our politics is very loud, Governor. It's loud, it's daily. Shifting camps is loud, Wamunyoro is loud, this is loud. And you're saying, no, even if I was to write to the president, I would say development. You don't have any other political views beyond development ones?
Well, I don't, by the way. And this is a choice I've personally made. I don't think it is the right thing to do, by the way. I feel, from where I see it, as a country, our over-concentration on matters, politics, I don't think it is the right thing for society. It is okay, it is good, by the way. It makes our democracy strong. Yeah? It is through politics that we oversight institutions. But I also feel, from where I see it, that Kenya needs also to pivot a little bit to issues. Yeah? Yeah? To discuss, let's say, the budget, to discuss developmental plans, And I don't know, maybe that has to do with age. I don't know. Yeah.
It's also playing it smart. I could say what you are development oriented. No one can deny that. But I think it's also your way, una way ground before you decide which way to go.
He's sitting on the fence.
Weighing the ground is my choice of terminology. I'm looking at some of the feedback. Governor, this is Kenson Mugolo. Governor, don't involve Wantam or Tutam. Fanya wananchi wa Murang'a job kwanza, mengine later. Lenny De Steve is saying, thank you. I envy being a Murang'a resident. There was this actually question because on water that I've seen come up one or two times on why Murang'a gives its water to Nairobi for free. And I've heard this before. Yes, maji tunakunywa Nairobi inatoka Murang'a, but is it for free?
Okay, one. First, there's a legal aspect to it. I think under, is it Schedule 4 of the Constitution about what we call natural resources?
Yeah.
Yes.
They are vested with the national government. However, there is another reason why I think Murang'a should be getting something out of it. In my view, one is precedent that has been created by the national government. National government has granted Narok the game reserve. I think Kajiado, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it was Kajiado recently. Narok was always, even under the old system.
It was with the people.
Yeah.
That's Masai Mara.
Yes, Masai Mara. Kajiado now has gotten the Amboseli National Park.
Right.
And sorry to say, I'm not begrudging either, but for them, except protecting, there's no per se anything extra that
they're doing.
they have to do. But for us, we have to do two things. One, plant more trees to ensure you guys in Nairobi
Have
continue
water.
getting water. We have to be incentivized from going into the forest and cutting down those trees. So under the set of circumstances,
Right.
it means we have a moral point and maybe even a legal point to demand some compensation.
Yeah.
There is a fee, in my view, that national government gets out of those resources called abstraction fee. WARMA means Water Resource Management Authority, a national government entity. Every time you abstract water, you pay it. That fee, in my view, should not go to that entity, should come to Murang'a and other water-rich counties in this country. Now, for that to happen, a law has to be done in Nairobi. So I really urge our leaders in the National Assembly and in the Senate to look at that law and give us something out of there. The national government also has to have some goodwill
True.
to render that. Yeah.
Very true. Okay.
It's a big national resource, like you're saying. I mean, it's water.
Yeah.
Water comes from the fact that we have rivers. Rivers comes from the fact that we have rainfall in some of these areas and maybe natural springs. It's a very big debate that I see here in terms of if you say that every natural resource that then goes to benefit somebody else, the host community must have a sense of benefit from it. It starts somewhere with minerals.
Yeah.
It ends somewhere where it becomes gray when some of these natural resources then become water, But I think it's a big conversation to have. I just want to come back again to the politics, because Governor, we have to be real with the ground. And the ground here is that you will be seeking, maybe, I don't know, will you be seeking re-election next year?
I will make an announcement soon.
Aye.
So far, what are you feeling like? Is it too much work? Is it easy work to do?
No, definitely there are work that ought to be done and completed. Yeah, but definitely.
So why are you so cagey about your own political future and about the stance that's been taken by others around your region?
Okay, the truth is, I feel it will definitely compromise some of the things that we are doing, because now people will start politicizing some of those endeavors. And for me, I don't think that will be something good for Murang'a. I have seen and analyzed societies that progress, in my view, they tend to be highly depoliticized. I'll give you several examples, like China, when Deng Xiaoping was their leader. He pivoted people more to focus on development. And even Turkey, Turkey was poor for many years until you may have issues with the current president, but he definitely has, particularly in his first few years, he pushed Turkey to a positive trajectory. And I recall reading something by his foreign minister. Turkey has historical problems with so many of its neighbors, like Armenia. So one day he was asked, what is your policy about Armenia and all this neighboring? And he said, our policy now is zero problems with our neighbors. Same logic with Murang'a now. Our strategy is to have zero problems with everyone, whether the assembly, whether the national government, parliamentarians. I often see some parliamentarians deciding, okay, let's start a fight. And our strategy has been to keep quiet. We are not interested in fighting anyone. We will never allow to be pushed into a fighting. If you want to fight, then fine, you fight, but we won't fight back. As we want no fight. No fight. And that's our motto. So therefore, your question, in my view, definitely is a call for a fight.
He doesn't want beef.
It's a call for a fight. And I'm telling you, I won't fight. I'm sorry. I will not be tempted into a fight.
We have to go into a break. It's already 8:30. In conversation with Governor Irungu Kang'ata of Murang'a. We'll come back after the break and continue with Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time.
C2.
And somebody is asking the governor, if you were, this is Kenson Mugolo, ask the governor, if you were to be president of Kenya, what would you be doing to transform Kenya to first world, like South Korea? Because Kenyans are going through a lot. 2032, are vying for president. So it's that question of if you are president for a day, what would you do to take us to, well, our North Star is Singapore, but maybe we can still reference South Korea. Yeah. Ken ndio ameulizasio mimi.
Well, it seems the road to... Okay, first let me say I really don't want to be president in 2027 or even a deputy president. That's important because maybe my answer will be perceived to mean have such ambitions. But just a comment on what can make Kenya strong. Only one, manufacturing. There is no other route to development other than manufacturing. And why? Because for two reasons. One, manufacturing creates the greatest number of jobs in any economy. Secondly, manufacturing can make Kenya economy more export-driven. And the trick towards making Kenya more strong in manufacturing is simple. You look for land. You grant manufacturers land, either for free or at a very cheap rate. The greatest bottleneck to any countries becoming strong in manufacturing is the cost of land and the cost of capital. So the second point on the cost of capital, you can nudge your banks to give preferential loans to manufacturers. That's what Japan did, by the way. What they were calling window guidance in 1960s, 70s. So you'd find Toyota, whatever, they'll be given preferential loans by the banks, by the government nudging the banks to do so. Same way with South Korea, but South Korea had a more targeted strategy, which was to look for certain companies, private companies, and supporting them. And they were, funny to say, family owned. They were called chaebols or something. We're talking of Hyundai, which was Samsung, such. So the government at that time, I think the president was called Park. He decided to target those 4, 5, 6 companies and support them. And but they had to be export driven. Then they became large. Then they lifted everyone up. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Kenya can consider such kind of a strategy, or you go out to strong manufacturers countries like China, you lure those people into Kenya, you give them either cheap or maybe free land.
Yeah.
They set up business here, they start exporting, that's it. Then we become a strong exporting country, we raise our revenue. Then what happens is a middle class tends to be formed around such kind of an economy. Then you have a strong middle class, everyone now starts going up. And there is no other way around this thing.
Yeah.
Even Murang'a, I strongly believe the future of Murang'a, the greatest strategy for Murang'a that will help Murang'a into the future is that industrial park that we are setting up at Del Monte. I was being nudged by some people to divide it into small plots for people to put up private residences. I said, no, that's not wise. This resource should be purely for manufacturers. And I believe once that happens, Murang'a economy will change and Kenya's economy will prosper. Yeah.
Which comes before the other? So for manufacturing, because you're making a lot of sense, for manufacturers to actually be able to set up, aside from land, they also need some things. They need a stable supply of power at affordable rates. They need water, stable supply of water as well, right? And all this other infrastructure, route to market or route to airports or export points, then maybe lower import of, cheaper import of their raw material or machinery. Do you say all these things coming together, being done at the same time? Or should we start by, first of all, laying what they call the horizontal infrastructure before we bring in the investors?
Okay, it should be a package and a deliberate package, and where you get power. You see, like now, Kenya Power, like now, Murang'a, we require about 2 billion to have power in that industrial park. So it should be a deliberate government policy to put up industrial parks in the entire country. And once that is done, definitely then prosperity will follow. And there are many companies that are willing to relocate to Africa for strategic reasons. One, our salaries are low. Yeah, you find an employee in, let's say, in China. I think I was in China, and the minimum wage in China now, in Kenya shillings per month, is 90,000. Here in Kenya, is 12,000. In the US, Europe, it's about 300,000. So you'd imagine what benefits such kind of manufacturer would gain by coming to Kenya.
Right.
The problem is that our cost of land is very high. It's almost like in Beijing. So again, that's why you really have to consider either free land or highly subsidized land. Yeah.
Going through what we were discussing earlier, which was some of like the interventions, for example, that you've done, and then we tried to get into the politicking of it, and you said, you know what, development is the focus. I'm wondering, is it also true for the people of Murang'a that development is the focus? And if not, how do we move the conversation away from politicking, from promises, to a people that want the development more than they want the politics?
Okay, one, a decision has to be made by leaders. There's also a role on the leaders. That's one. Two, there's a role by the media. You guys, you drive the agenda.
Yeah.
So if you come here, you ask me about Wantam, Tutam, it means that's what the public is getting fed.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
True.
You are shaping the society. People to prefer politics over economics. Then, I think it's Jesus who said, you reap what you sow. So you guys have been planting politics. So you have to harvest politics.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You cannot have your cake and eat it.
Fair.
The other key stakeholder in this conversation is the people. We have to have a citizenry that rewards development as opposed to a citizenry that rewards politics. Because at the end of the day, it's about them. If they decide to choose people on the basis of politics, so be it. Yeah. If they decide to put a focus on development.
Are we in too deep? If we're ever to what is it called? To rein ourselves back in.
Can we get out of this?
Are we able to get out of it? Because
Yes.
Yes.
I know. At least where I come from. I know the kind of mindset our people have, where I come from. Let me not speak on behalf of others. I'll only speak of my region, Murang'a in particular. I know people who have a lot of focus on development. When you talk to people down there, you hear the kind of leaders they remember are developmentalists. I'll give an example of Mheshimiwa Mweshege. I did not find him. Mweshege used to be a member of parliament of Kandara constituency, which is now Gatanga and Kandara. But the kind of work he did, even now people remember him. You see, the avocado is the guy who nudged the people of Kandara to put avocado. Those years. But avocado is now getting value now. Just the last 3 years or so. So that tells you that there are people who have some foresight, and I know, and I pray that the public push its mind more towards development.
How do we do that? I see the example that you're giving. This particular, there'll be a few leaders who will be mentioned, and they'll be mentioned after they left office. That this is what they did. People realize after they've left office. But during your tenure, for example, as governor, when you go and engage with the people, are they listening to your conversation around development and engaging you on development, or are they engaging on other conversations? Say, for instance, it's a weekend where other politicians have come, gone to a church somewhere, and they are discussing the national politics. And then you go to that, you happen to have planned a visit to that region the following week. Are people forcing you to talk what they were discussing on Sunday? Or are they now saying, okay, so this is the governor, where are we in terms of our agriculture? Where are we in terms of water supply? Where are we in terms of ECDs and so on?
Let me say that Murang'a, for me, I can definitely not complain on the focus. The complaints may be on the achievements. Definitely, there are some gaps in there. But whenever we go in a meeting in Murang'a, people will be asking, when shall we have our own smart city? Yeah, when shall we have, let's say, have a problem with Kang'ata care, and I like it. So for Murang'a, there is quite a focus on matters development. Yes.
I look at the examples you've given us. You've told us China 40 years ago was not where it is today, right? Deng Xiaoping comes in 1978 and he becomes the leader of China, and then he sets them off on this particular journey and decides we are going to we stop being insular, we shall open up, we shall develop. But if you look at the leadership of China in those 40 years, some people have said that it's strong-armed. that, they were very clear. This is the conversation you're having. It's democracy, yes, but democracy is from here to here.
Yeah.
There's a
There's
degree
boundaries.
of democracy. You've given the example as well of Turkey. Recep Tayyip Erdogan has been accused by many of being a human rights violator on some. There are some quarters that say Erdogan has stifled opposition and opposition voices. In fact, there are some national opposition figures who even had to take exile. Again, you give the example of Ethiopia and the Meles Zenawi, same kind of thing. So where do you strike the balance between a leader who is focused on development and a leader who's focused on development but at the same time upholding human rights, but also the people seeing that these rights are not as important as the development that you're talking about?
For every developmental autocrat, we have maybe 3 very negative autocrats. So you may cite Deng, but I will also cite Mobutu Sese Seko, Moi. I will also cite Mugabe, isn't it? So at times, when people cite maybe what we call benevolent dictatorship as maybe the right way to go do things,
It's romanticization.
at times it's what we call cherry picking, isn't it? Or the fallacy of forced generalization, where you pick one, you generalize, as opposed to looking at evidence holistically. Maybe I can give also examples of leaders within a democratic polity who have also pushed the society ahead. I gave you an example of Clement Attlee, who was a Democrat, but I think the things he do, like now, National Health Service in the UK, it's a signature program on healthcare. He's the guy who instituted it. So many years, that would be 70 years ago.
Yeah.
It still stands, despite even having very conservative prime ministers who don't believe in government doing anything, like Thatcher. We come to America, FDR. He brought a lot of changes within a society that is highly democratic, but I think America moved ahead despite that. And I think here in Africa, the best example would be the Botswana former president called Khama. I think he not only ensured democracy is strong, but he devised a fairly progressive society. Even Seychelles, Mauritius. So I think we can have a democracy. We can also have development. But of course, for that to happen, it requires a lot of skills. How to keep everyone focused on development. It's quite a journey.
Development and not politics. I was going to ask something to ask, because the question I had in mind before I forget, and I don't know if he's answered it and if I'm taking us back, I'm just curious if there's any decision that kept you up at night that you had to make because it was good for the county, but you knew that it wouldn't be a popular decision.
Yes, I've gave you one of an attempt to reorient IDO facilities.
Okay, yes, that was one.
But I didn't succeed.
Yes.
I had to hold it back because of
the emotional attachment.
People say no. The other one is our effort to control our wage bill. I know quite a number of people have been quite unhappy because at times people would want, they might compare themselves with others. I also understand we have inflation, How do you beat inflation without a salary hike? So, but now you look at the amount. But there's also automation. When decided to do automation, there was a lot of resistance. But that one, I'm happy. People have come around.
Okay.
They now see the benefits of
the automation.
Okay. But that time, when we were starting the journey, there was a lot of resistance. But now people seems to be accepting.
Okay.
I think if you tell any person in Murang'a, we now do away with automation, we go back where we were, they'll definitely tell you no.
Okay.
Okay.
Just as we wrap up, I was thinking about counties operating in, this whole big behemoth of government. The monies that are allocated from Treasury, for example, are a huge bone of contention. There's always more that's wanted by counties. Even the devolution, it's like, okay, are funds following the functions? In your view, are there gaps within the devolution framework as is right now when it comes to either funding or function?
Yes, we are highly underfunded because the Constitution says that we need to get a minimum of 15% of the audited budget. And that number has been fairly static despite an expanding national economy. And therefore, I think...
Is that because we're not auditing or because we're not following the Constitution? When we say
Both,
as of the
both.
last audited accounts, when were the last audited accounts? So it's both ways.
Both
Okay.
ways. And and I think that needs to be done. But okay, the law is there. Law talks of a floor, not ceiling. So meaning to push that number up, it's a political conversation. Maybe we really need to pray the national government devotes more funds to counties to address some of these many developmental gaps in our society.
Okay. There's a few questions maybe as we wind up. Neuro Point Wellness Consultants also wants to reach you. I don't know if there's a way people can reach the governor's office. Morning Fixers kindly ask the governor how I can reach him regarding mental health programs. I'd written to his office regarding the same. Somebody else is saying, has he given his opinion on the current healthcare issues relating to SHIF and SHA? Two more. One is... Two are compliments, I think, or comments. Paul Kameri says, great elaboration on issues and deftly pragmatic approach to politics rather than politicking. And Francis Kiragu says, I really love the program. Kudos to my governor. Murang'a Level 5 Hospital is now competing with private hospitals. We all prefer the facility more than before. So some flowers have been sent your way. So this one about reaching you.
All right. That one about reaching him, and then opinion on
Health
issues,
Yeah.
healthcare issues relating to SHIF and SHA. And also one, Kenson is asking, does the governor have cartels in Murang'a? How many public participation on the ground on the services delivered to the people? Okay, so public participation versus cartels or something of the sort. Yeah, maybe just respond to those three as we close.
Well, cartels, to the best of my knowledge, no. Maybe there are, without me knowing. I think for me, the best way to push Murang'a ahead, or any institution, is to create institutions and to ensure it's not really based on myself. And that brings me back to a request, a guy saying, I want to see the governor. Best case scenario is where that person is served by the system, not me. It's not about Kang'ata, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'd imagine that Kang'ata is handling everything, surely. Then it would mean nothing would
Work.
work. So how I pray he could go and be assisted by a CC, a CEO, isn't it? Or an own officer. And if there is a problem, then you escalate. Yeah? Isn't it? Otherwise, then it will mean it's a personalized rule. Yeah? What we call neo-patrimonial systems. So for me, I would really urge we create institutions, we create systems. Okay, assume for any reason you want to reach me, I would propose you go to our website, you will get our email, we write, we respond to you. At times we also encourage people to disclose whatever they want to tell us through writing.
Okay.
Who knows? Maybe I will respond in writing, maybe through the email, and you'll not even require to see me in
and see
person.
me.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Thoughts
All
on
right.
SHIF SHA, any issues? That's the last one.
Okay, for sure, I see opportunities and challenges. Let me say that. Let me start with opportunities that Murang'a, we have a collaboration with SHA because we have this program where we give poor people, needy people, vulnerable families a card where they go with it in the hospitals. We pay for them, the premium, and we pay SHA. Then SHA provide the service, and we are happy. This is our fourth year since we have that engagement of about 160,000 individuals and 40,000 households.
Right.
But the challenge is we plead with them to increase reimbursements to us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Governor of Murang'a County, Irungu Kang'ata, has been our guest, talking all things devolution, leadership, and more. We appreciate the time he's taken. In the next hour, we turn to the youth perspective. So we'll be speaking to John Wangai Wanjohi, member for Bunge la Wananchi Utawala Forum. Youth understanding of pro-constitutional leadership is the conversation we'll have with him. It's coming up to 9 a.m.